Welcome to Seasons blog. The Yield 3.0 Engine, Part 2, TTT. How volume times velocity turns transactions into yield. This is Part 2 of a 4-part series on Seasons Yield 3.0 mechanism. Building on Part 1, where we covered the 3-module architecture, the Yield Management System, YMS, and the design principle of weak synchrony. In this piece, we dive deep into the Transactional Transfer Tax, TTT, module that derives real yield from transaction fees via a novel volume times velocity model. Almost every major, albeit successful financial system, captures value through transaction fees. From payment processing charges and brokerage commissions in TradFi to the swap fees and slippage levied on DEX trades. What differs, however, is where those fees end up. Traditionally, in both TradFi and DeFi, accumulated fees go to the intermediaries facilitating the transaction, such as banks, exchanges, protocol treasuries, or liquidity providers. Consumers, on the other hand, rarely receive any share of the immense economic value they help generate by paying fees. Seasons Transactional Transfer Tax, TTT, module flips this model by generating real yield from the 10% fee captured on every Seas transaction and distributing it directly to Seasons nodes, that is, wallets holding 10,000 plus Seas. It creates a reflexive, activity-driven loop and unlocks a constant, liquid stream of value for Seas holders. The tax is in the token. The TTT logic is embedded in the Seas token's smart contract, built on Solana's newer, more advanced SPL token 2022, SPL-2022 standard. This provides architectural certainty to the tax component, so it can't be bypassed through ad hoc means. Every DEX, protocol, or wallet interacting with Seas triggers the transactional tax, text tax component, applied proportionally to the transaction size. There are no preferential treatments as such, ensuring fairness and deterring extractive behavior by design. More on this below. That said, while the TXTAX applies uniformly to both buy-side and sell-side Seas trades, there's a slight nuance in how it's denominated. Entry position, buy trade. 10% of the USD equivalent of the payment asset, that is, the non-Seas token used for the swap, at the moment of transaction, accounted for and collected in Seas. Exit position, sell trade. 10% of the USD equivalent of the amount of Seas being sold, per its market value at the moment of transaction. Thus, when someone buys Seas worth 100 USDC, for instance, they receive approximately 90 USDCs worth of Seas after paying the 10% fee. Likewise, while selling 100 Seas, they receive USDC worth 90 Seas. Capturing value, filtering noise. The TTT converts market activity into distributable yield through a formula designed to capture real economic signals while filtering out noise. Volume plus TXTAX times velocity. While each of these components serves a distinct purpose, volume and velocity together comprise TTT's double V engine that's critical to organically maximizing the creation of our non-directional and resilient value stream for Seas holders. Volume represents the total value flowing through Seas over time, calculated as the product of price and trading frequency within a given period. This parameter is reflexive by nature, so volume begets more volume. Higher trading volumes, activity, stimulate more demand, which in turn generates more activity, and this compounds the cycle. And with TTT, this reflexivity translates directly into yield. More volume leads to more fees, leads to more yield. The volume component is, therefore, the key to rooting Yield 3.0 in genuine economic activity. This is how we break the vicious cycle of paying yields that are lucrative on the outside, but unsustainable on the inside. Yield derived from token emissions and inflationary models that are subject to rates controlled by external committees or driven purely by short-term speculation. Velocity, on the other hand, ensures that the volume being accounted for is genuine. It measures how frequently Seas changes hands, or more precisely, how many times the same address interacts with the token within a given time frame. Low velocity signals long-term holding and low time preference, whereas high velocity means shorter ownership durations, often characteristic of short-term flipping behavior. Coupled with the TX tax, velocity functions as the autoimmune system for Seasons' yield mechanism, deterring malicious and slash or extractive activities. For example, a market maker cycling Seas through rapid trades bleeds 10% every time, just like a bot attempting to game the structure faces compounding losses. This makes such attempts economically irrational, while structurally selecting participants whose time preferences align with the network's long-term health. The axle and the flywheel. Implementing the TTT module alone significantly differentiates Yield 3.0 from other existing yield forms and sources. Unlike emission-based protocols, whose APYs structurally dilute over time since they print yield out of thin air, TTT's activity-based versus price-dependent approach, along with distributions in alternative assets, not Cs, ensures that C's inflation doesn't eat into the yield you earn. Likewise, with TTT, Yield 3.0 solves the problem facing pool-based yield protocols, where more capital flowing into the system compresses yield and capital efficiency. Overall, TTT liberates the Seasons yield mechanism from most of the usual vices: rate dependence, inflation-driven compression, impermanent loss for liquidity providers, and speculative extractions. This is how Yield 3.0 works in any market condition, as long as there's activity, regardless of how Seas performs. That said, however, TTT is only an axle of the full Yield 3.0 flywheel. Once the other two modules, SSYM and YAV, go live and the mechanism fires on all pistons, they will complement each other, making TTT even stronger. For instance, as described in our previous article, Seas buybacks through these modules will trigger TTT, initiating a self-reinforcing loop that boosts per-round yields for nodes. And if, with only one of 3 modules active, Seasons could deliver $140,505 plus as yield in its first 130 plus days of operations, without fail, through one of the most turbulent phases across global markets. Imagine what it can do and how much value it can generate when Yield 3.0 reaches its full potential. Stay tuned for parts 3 and 4 of this series, where we dive deep into SSYM and YAV, respectively, showcasing how they strengthen Yield 3.0's self-compounding mechanism while expanding TTT's scope. Together, they provide the non-directional foundation necessary for Seasons to turn users' wallets into on-chain high-yield savings accounts and deliver a constant stream of digital native value to Seas holders.